Nigerian student currently studying in Ontario. I assume that means Ontario, Canada. Victor, is that correct? Yes. I'm in California in the San Francisco Bay Area. Near Los Angeles, there's another city called Ontario, so sometimes we have to clarify that. And Detroit, cool. Meet is here. He will be taking us through this discussion about AI/ML careers and about the program from Purdue. I'll introduce him in just a moment once we get started. We have about 30 more seconds. Daryl from Colorado, cool. I was just in Colorado a couple months ago because my daughter got her PhD from UC. CU, I suppose it is in Colorado. All right. So we're close enough. I am going to bring up our official presentation. And I apologize if I turn from one side to the other during our webinar, but I do have two systems up here, so I'll be looking at my other screen from time to time. And I want to welcome everyone to our program preview for the AI/ML program from Purdue University. We're going to discuss how this program can transform your career, especially now that we're in the era of generative AI. Very exciting time. Mentioned I've got here, and we'll introduce him in a moment. From ground rules for the webinar, please put your questions in the Q&A box. That will help me keep track of them. See, we have a visitor from the Czech Republic. Very cool. This session is being recorded. We'll send you a follow-up email with a link to the recording and information about claiming the bonus offer that we're going to discuss. If you want a proof of attendance for attending this webinar, when you exit, you will go into a survey and you have a place to put your name so that you get it correct on the certificate. So if you want a certificate for attending this webinar, please fill out that follow on survey. And I'm going to start get things rolling with a question for you in the audience. This question is very simple. How much experience do you have? Are you still studying for your degree? Are you in the workforce? So for how long? I'm just going to leave this open for another 10 seconds because it's a pretty straightforward question. I'm going to close this in 3, 2, 1. You can see about a third of our audience are people who are still in school. Half of our audience, though, are people who have more than 5 years of experience. So people, I assume you're going to be looking for a potential career pivot into AI and ML. So that's very cool, and we're going to stop. Let's show you how to get that underway through this program. So, oops. Let's talk about what we're going to cover in the webinar. We're going to, as you see, we'll be asking a couple of questions about you along the way. We'll discuss AI and ML careers, discuss how this program prepares you for those careers, and we'll show you some of the learner outcomes people have achieved. We'll go about enrollment steps. As I mentioned, there will be a bonus offer that we'll mention later in this webinar, and be a live Q&A with so. Oops. Talk about Simplilearn just for a moment before we get going. Simplilearn is the #1 online boot camp in the world for digital skills for the digital economy. and we've helped over 5 million professionals worldwide in 150 countries to upskill in digital skills. We've been doing it for 13 years. We deliver our programs fully online, so they're accessible anywhere that you have a web browser. And we're very pleased at the successes we've helped people achieve in advancing their careers. So with that, I'd like to introduce Amit. In fact, I'm going to let him describe his own experience and background. But welcome, Amit. Thank you.
Thanks, Stuart.
So you've got more than 15 years of experience. What is the actual number at this point?
Actually, it would be 16 exactly.
Okay, cool. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. So just to give you a brief on myself, I'm a statistician, and then I did my MBA in IT, and overall I have more than 15 years of experience in developing analytical and statistical solution. And of late, I have been utilizing machine learning and deep learning concepts to build solutions for different sets of clients that I have. I run a small company called Intellitica here, which creates data-driven solution for different clients that we have. Parallelly, I'm also delivering corporate training programs in association with Simplilearn. I'm doing their program with the Purdue University as well as Caltech University. So I take care of machine learning, deep learning, statistical analysis using Python or SAS or Excel, for that matter, any other tool which is required to be done. And overall, I have more than, now that has to be updated, Stuart, I have more than 4,500 hours of experience now in terms of delivering lectures. And clientele, if you talk about, I have more than 150 clients where I have delivered training program. I have been doing this since last 12 years, these corporate training programs. So that in a nutshell, what I have been doing.
Thank you very much. I will update that for future sessions. 4,500 is impressive. And we're going to talk about careers in AI and machine learning. And you've built a career in AI and machine learning. So the audience is very interested, I think, in hearing from you what your career journey has been like. Let's kind of set the stage for that. So this is, would you agree with this statement that AI and machine learning are a way to extend human capabilities?
Yeah, 100% with this particular statement. If you see the variety of applications that we have been using, which is driven by AI, is actually enhancing the entire experience and including the human capabilities. There are a lot of stuff that we are able to do in a very efficient manner because of these capabilities that we are enjoying at the moment. You talk about Google Photos, you talk about ChatGPT and all. It has taken it has actually enhanced our capability to a different level altogether.
So we have people who worry about AI replacing them in work. The reason that AI is so important these days is we're flooded with data, especially since the pandemic, where so much of our lives moved to the digital domain. Even as that process was going on for the previous several decades, it really accelerated in the last several years, didn't it?
Actually, and a lot of data to process. You talk about any business these days, they focus a lot in terms of capturing data. The idea is to, once you have the data, you can analyze in an automated fashion and then build certain strategy on top of it. And that's where machine learning and deep learning algorithms come to the rescue in terms of handling vast amount of data. And it doesn't matter whether it's a structured data or unstructured, it can analyze both types of data and then build certain insights for you, which you can convert into actionable for a particular business. So that's where it's pretty important.
Yeah, and the reason we emphasize data here is that, uh, in times past, the rate of transactions and the interactions with customers or your interactions with businesses were a slower pace. Um, there were It was possible to use paper record keeping for a lot of businesses and then digital record keeping, but it was still a matter of something that was a kind of a tractable problem for the management to solve, to take a look at what data was available and develop plans and insights from that. Today, the amount of data is too big and it's coming in too quickly for that. So you have to rely on automated systems to handle that, not only record keeping, but also analysis and insight derivation, right?
That's correct, actually. And if you look at concept-wise, we had certain analytical concepts since ages, but because of a lack of data and lack of technology to add to that in terms of analyzing in fast manner, we couldn't succeed earlier. But now in last decade or so, if you see, the technology has gone to a different level in terms of not only storing the data, but also we have capability of analyzing vast amount of data in no time. So if you see AI and ML, it has been expedited by the technology, and that's what has brought so many applications as well.
Yeah. Um, so this is a way for people to keep up with this flow, not just, it's not a matter of replacing people, it's a matter of, as we said, extending their capabilities to be able to keep up with the pace that things are going. So can you give us a little bit of background as we look at the different kinds of career paths that are available? How did you originally get into the field and progress through it?
So I started as a data analyst, so more on a data engineering side, in a sense that a lot of data was getting captured, and I joined a bank for that matter, and bank introduced CRM at that point in time, and CRM was supposed to capture a lot of data points and which needed to be analyzed. So I started as a data analyst, doing some basic data analysis, but basically building some data pipeline, and that kind of took me to being a statistician. I had a very keen interest in data analysis. So once I got into data engineering part, building data pipeline and all, I had a very natural progression toward machine learning part as well, or probably building end-to-end solution. So I started as a data analyst, creating certain basic reports for the management, and then gradually moving to building some simpler applications. We built recommendation engine using clustering. That point in time, it was way back in 2007, 8, I'm talking about. And then gradually machine learning algorithms became quite uh, uh, in demand, in a sense of adaptability to different industry, and also the technology was backing us in terms of trying different and then doing some experiment with the data. So started moving towards machine learning, deep learning algorithms, started building them, and then gradually, because I had a statistical background, I started doing some statistical part as well on top of it, and eventually moved to entirely a data scientist role. So if I have to just brush up on the part that I have covered in my professional journey, so started as a data analyst, and now I work as a data scientist. In between, I have gone to different uh, uh, phases in terms of machine learning engineering, you can say, or you can say starting with a data engineer, and sometimes probably in terms of building architecture of an end-to-end solution as well.
Okay. So you've covered pretty much the entire set of roles here in your personal career, and this is an illustration of how people can begin at one of these points and move, laterally or vertically into the other points. And we look at data science as being kind of the overall category that encompasses data analytics, but also machine learning and artificial intelligence, correct?
Sorry, I lost you in between.
Oh, I'm sorry. Data science is kind of the overall category. So you describe yourself as a data scientist, and that encompasses the machine learning and artificial intelligence, right?
Kind of, yes, but there is a very fine line. There's no set boundaries these days, but yes, data science is kind of umbrella term we use these days for which encompasses your machine learning AI as well. But sometimes, if you talk about, some people say that data science and artificial intelligence, two different ecosystem altogether with some overlap. But nowadays, it has become a generic term where it takes care of machine learning, deep learning, and everything. That's what you're saying is correct.
Okay. So this program talks about machine learning. When someone enters the field from that direction, are they going to start as a machine learning engineer, developer? What are the things? What's the
Uh,
direction they'll throw?
Honestly, you will have a choice for that, in a sense that machine learning engineering and data scientists, if you talk about within the framework of this entire AI ML data science, has it is two different paths altogether these days because of the so much of requirement. ML ops has also come into the picture. But starting point is same, in a sense that you have to have a basic understanding of how data is moving in the ecosystem, what kind of analysis you can do, how machine learning algorithm they work, what kind of statistics is required in terms of developing certain models. So starting point will remain same whether you want to pursue your career in towards machine learning engineering you talk about, or AI architect, or even for that matter data scientist. Starting point will remain same. You need a good solid foundation for understanding these terms, and then as you move along, you will have understanding that probably ML engineering gives you a more it looks very interesting to you, or probably you want to become a data scientist. So that's how it goes in general.
Okay, great. We had a question in the chat about what skills you felt you lacked at the beginning of your career, or what are the skills that you've gained along the way to get to where you are?
Pretty good question, actually. So I would say initially I lagged towards the programming part because I was totally into statistics. I understood the concepts pretty well when it came to any kind of statistical modeling, but programming was something which was we were not taught at the college level or university level, in terms of that. Okay, there is a statistical model you can build with some of the tools, or even if it was taught, it was very earlier. We used to you have SPSS and all, which has some limitations in terms of that. So I would say for my personal journey, programming was something that I had to pick up, and then it's a ongoing learning process. Every other month, every other day, something new comes up. You have to pick up that. You have to understand how it works, and probably have to start using it. So then uh, on the job started learning other aspects of machine learning implementation, and then some new algorithms coming up. Probably NLP, if you see in last 3 4 years, so many new things have come up. So it's an ongoing journey, but yes, programming was something which I lacked, which I picked up over the period of time.
Okay. We had a question about if somebody lacked mathematical aptitude, if they felt they were a bit weak in mathematics, could they strengthen themselves, and how much mathematics would they need to have to enter this field?
Honestly telling you, mathematics is important because most of the algorithms are mathematical optimization algorithms. So I wouldn't deny that. But having said it, I'll tell you that mathematics that we use wouldn't be that difficult to understand, and the kind of sessions that we have designed, it takes care of the basic mathematics that you talk about, which is required in the machine learning. And while teaching also, we explain, we give the mathematical intuition. We do not want you to start probably solving a differential equation, but we give you a mathematical intuition that this is what is happening. So very intuitive approach. So even if you lack in terms of certain concept of how exactly you have to solve manually, that wouldn't be a problem. but little bit of mathematics is required, which will, I would say inclination towards mathematics is important to understand these concepts.
Okay, appreciate that. And so you need to develop a skill set to be successful in this field, and that kind of breaks down into some foundational skills, understanding machine learning methods, and then moving into more advanced topics. So can you take us kind of through this hierarchy?
Sure. So the foundational skills which are mentioned over here is kind of the this is a starting point for you. So statistics and math, basics of statistics. What is statistics all about? What kind of analysis you can do within that particular framework, and also you need to map how these statistical concepts will be useful in terms of solving some real-time problem. Some of them might not be used directly, but they might work as a building block for a more complex and sophisticated analysis. So for that, statistics and maths is required. And then what happens, these analysis that you're going to learn later, they require a lot of computation, and they're required to be done in faster manner. That's where Python and its libraries come as a helping hand. I look at Python as a calculator for me, which is going to perform all the calculations which later on machine learning and deep learning algorithm will introduce us to. So that's how I look at it. I don't look at it as a programming platform, and some of us probably do not have programming background, and we start thinking we have to learn Python end to end. It doesn't happen that way. You need to understand Python, how it works, and then you have to kind of cherry pick up those aspects of Python which is required for machine learning and deep learning. So think that way, and that's your foundational skills, which needs to be completed, needs to be done, and then you move towards learning methods. So there are different learning methods within the machine learning algorithms. You have supervised, you have unsupervised, semi-supervised, reinforcement learning. So these methods which are mentioned over here, these methods will have within each framework will have a number of algorithms. These algorithms are designed to solve some real-time problems, and overall the outline will remain same, that you are solving a particular problem. You might choose one approach to another, but overall the underlying problem objective will remain same, but you need to learn these algorithms. So supervised, unsupervised, all this you have to learn entirely. It will also consist of your ensemble learning. That's an example given over here, which is a type of supervised learning algorithm. And then you might also get into recommendation system, because that's something which is very important these days. When you purchase something on Amazon, it says people who bought this also purchased some of the items. That's something every e-commerce company wants to build, or it could be a streaming platform who wants to recommend certain shows, certain series to their end users. So those are the learning methods which are there, which you need to pick up at machine learning level. And again, it will be dealt with using Python. And once you pick up these algorithms, then you can move to the advanced topics like deep learning, where you deal with the neural networks, which is trying to imitate or simulate human brain. So it tries to simulate the human intelligence into machines. That's what neural networks does. So that will be part of your deep learning, and there you will be introduced with the, or you should learn about a Python framework called Keras and TensorFlow, a pretty good framework to implement deep learning algorithms. And within that framework of deep learning, a lot of advancements have happened in last few years. Generative adversarial network, or in general generative algorithms have been talk of the town these days. You talk about deepfake, you talk about aging app, you talk about neural transfer. A lot of stuff is happening in the advanced in the deep learning framework. So those topics you'll pick up. You'll also pick up computer vision, how to work with the images, NLP, and all. So this is how you should move your learning path. It means as per this learning path. Start with the foundational skills, and then gradually move towards advanced topics.
Great, thank you. So let's take a moment for another question for the audience. And this one is based on the assumption that you're all here to learn about careers and getting qualified for careers in AI and ML. And if you've looked at other programs, why haven't you started with one of those yet? What was the thing that was lacking that you felt you needed to have to be successful? You can answer more than one answers in your poll here. Give you an extra 15 seconds to answer this. Are you looking for comprehensive curriculum? Did you feel you wouldn't get the practical examples experience? Is it because of the learning style, or is it because of the schedule? I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Share the result with you. And the leading concerns that people in our audience today have are finding a program that's comprehensive, that kind of covers all of the skills that just discussed. Finding a program that will give you practical examples that you can demonstrate your skills, show off the experience you've had in the program, and then finding a program that fits your work schedule is most concerning. So with that, I'm going to go into a moment. So let's talk about this particular program, which is a postgraduate program in machine learning from Purdue University. Includes modules from IBM, delivered by Simplilearn, and it is a program that's fully online. It takes 11 months, but you need to only devote about 10 hours a week or so to the program. You'll have live virtual classes. Those are usually weekend classes, or are they evening classes too in this program?
Those would be weekend classes, 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday.
And those are where the learners interact with you or other instructors directly, go through the topics and then the actual examples of how to implement those.
And that's how it goes. It will be a live virtual class where the instructor would be there. They will help them in terms of understanding a concept, then an exercise, and then implement on a real-time data where you will understand how to implement on a given problem. So that's how it goes generally.
Yeah.
Entirely hands-on.
And the learning platform not only gives you access to the live classroom environment, but it also includes the live virtual machines that you're using, the data sources you're using for the exercises. So you don't have to buy or create a separate system for practicing these things. It's all included in that same platform. The platform's available to you 24/7, which means that in between classes you have anytime that you're available, you can do your homework, your exercises, watch your preparatory materials, or read books, all of the things that you would do to prepare for next week's class. And you can even do some of that on your mobile or tablet, right?
That's correct. You can access that on your tablet and your mobile. And best thing is you also get the recording for the session. So in case if you miss something, it's already there. You can watch it.
Yeah. And if you went to the class, didn't quite catch a particular thing, or you want to rewatch the explanation from the instructor, you can use those recordings for that purpose too. And it's a comprehensive curriculum that Purdue designed this curriculum around an industry-aligned learning path, meaning that they listen to the companies that come to them and say, this is what we need for people we're hiring into this role. So this is how the curriculum was designed. And the end of this process, you receive your certificate, which is jointly issued by Purdue and Simplilearn. That certifies that you've completed all the core courses, done them to the satisfaction of Purdue University, and that includes a capstone project. Along the way, you'll be doing a couple dozen projects that will each produce artifacts, examples that you put in your portfolio, and that culminates in the capstone at the end of the program, where you do an end-to-end solution of an industry-aligned problem. And you have the option of taking master classes from Purdue instructors, but also from industry experts they bring in. And some of the classes will also issue you an IBM certificate, because those classes are delivered by IBM to their standards as well. So that's an additional benefit for the program, right? I mean,
That's correct. So you get to learn not only from the instructor who are very experienced, you also get to learn from some industry experts in terms of what are their day-to-day challenges, how do they overcome that, what kind of issues they face when you are working on a particular case study or probably particular project. So that actually adds a lot of value.
thank you. We also include a career assist program from Simplilearn that extends after you earn your certificate, and I'll describe that more in a bit. So Purdue University is, if you're not familiar with it, if you happen outside the United States or North America, and you may not be as familiar with it as we are here, it is one of the top universities in the United States, and certainly one of the top public universities, run by the state of Indiana. It's been around for 150 years. It has a very strong engineering background. In fact, the company, or the university's sports teams, have the nickname the Boilermakers, because when this was founded, metalworking and building steam engines and that type of thing was a big focus of the university, and they've kept up with that engineering heritage all along. So there's a number of people who have earned various awards for their work at Purdue, including Nobel Prizes. And so we're very proud to be associated with them. They're, um, we're very honored. We're very honored to have them choose us as the delivery partner for this program. So we know that if you have that name on your resume, your CV, it's going to be something that people will recognize worldwide. So, I mean, can we talk about, we touched on it earlier, you need to have some background in math and programming, some background to succeed in this program. And I'm looking at this should not say high school diploma. It is a postgraduate program. You do need to have a bachelor's degree with 50% marks for this. So I should make sure that you all understand that. But what kind of background in math and programming, can you remind us, should people have?
So it consists of, in terms of, you have to mention some mathematical content, then it consists of some vector algebra and differential calculus. But what we do generally is we take care of those concepts, how it is getting implemented in machine learning algorithms. So that's what we do. But some background will help you in terms of catching up with those concepts quickly, and then you'll be able to pick up those algorithms in a faster manner. Programming is required because eventually we want to implement all these concepts that you are learning onto the data, which requires a huge amount of calculations, computations, which is very exhaustive. So that's where programs will come into the picture, which will actually do the work for you. So that's required. So think that way, that it's a helping hand, programming, when it comes to machine learning. So those two aspects, if some background, if you are having, that will be very useful, beneficial. And having said that, again, I want to iterate here that a program that we have designed, that has been designed here, is basically takes care of these concepts from very scratch, but still some background will be very helpful.
Okay. And when we talk about the necessity for experience, what kind of benefit do you get from having work experience when you come into this program?
See, work experience, if you have, it helps you in terms of understanding like how a project moves generally. And just like any other project, machine learning projects also move into a business. But but apart from that, if you are not having a background into data analytics or machine learning, then it wouldn't be very useful in terms of getting all the knowledge that you are supposed to have when that you want to when you want to work in this particular domain. So that's how it would be.
Yeah, so understanding how this type of technology might be applied in business is a good background to have. So again, it's not mandatory, but we do recommend that you have some work experience involved in that. Um, let's move on to talk about the program itself. Um, we've worked with Purdue to create this kind of ladder to success, a staircase to success, starting with the induction session, which is an online session that teaches you how to use the platform itself, teaches you where to find your classes, how to register for them, how to attend them online, where all of the other resources are that's available to you. Gives you an overview of what you're going to be learning in the program. So once people have taken that induction session, can you kind of take them through this sequence and
Sure.
briefly what they're
So
learning?
Sure. So once you have finished your induction, we want you to start with the foundation done. So basically, Python for data science takes care of the uh, programming part in Python, which is required for data science. So from data science perspective, there are certain libraries which you should be aware of how to use them, what's the purpose of them, and then how does it work in real time scenario. That those are the aspects will be covered in Python for data science. So the idea is that we make you ready for machine learning algorithms using Python by introducing you to the different libraries, different frameworks within Python, which will be useful for all these algorithms. So this is what we are doing. And once that part is done, then we move to applied data science with Python. So now you have already understood what's Python, how does it work, and how you're going to utilize in this entire program or even going forward into real-time scenario. Then comes applied data science, which talks about certain concepts within data science framework, which is very important before you apply a machine learning algorithm. So it will take care of certain data pre-processing that you are supposed to do or data cleaning that we do in terms of making sure that data is of highest quality and data integrity is maintained. Or probably sometimes you just transform data from one format to another so that the machine learning algorithm can pick that up and understand and take that, understand it, and then understand the pattern, come up with a final outcome. So for that matter, you need to understand a certain concept which is covered in applied data science with Python. Then we move to machine learning algorithms. So this is where we start dealing with the algorithms. So we introduce you to different kind of learning, and here you'll be taught supervised learning, unsupervised learning, how do they work, and within each framework you will have a set of algorithms that you should know. So we teach you the algorithms, and generally this is taught in this fashion. We introduce you to an algorithm. We tell you what they are capable of. Then we explain you the concept behind it. We give you a mathematical intuition how it works. Then we take a case study, and while solving the case study, we also introduce you to the challenges that you will face once you are using that particular algorithm. And we implement the entire algorithm using Python. So you get the entire hands-on understanding that how you're gonna take a particular problem, solve it using an algorithm that we have taught you, and then also conclude in terms of understanding whether it's working well or not. So each algorithm will be taught in the same fashion so that you get entire understanding how it works and you're able to implement it also. So that gives you a lot of confidence in a real-time scenario also, that how you're going to take up a problem and solve it. So that's your machine learning, which will, as I mentioned, will take care of your supervised, unsupervised learning algorithms. Then we'll move to deep learning with Keras and TensorFlow. So within machine learning uh, system, you have deep learning algorithms, which consist of your neural network. Now, these neural networks are capable of solving some really complex problems, and we implement that using Keras and TensorFlow, which is a Python framework, which is a very user-friendly framework, makes your job much simpler and easier. So deep learning will consist of building neural networks, working with the images in terms of image classification, object detection that you want to do eventually. So how do we work with the images? Or it could be some sequential data in terms of speech, in terms of some time series data that you want to understand and build a model on top of it to forecast certain values. So that's what will be taught under deep learning. So again, within deep learning also, you will have supervised and unsupervised learning. Both will be covered, but this will be majorly focusing on neural networks. Then once that part is covered, you will move to advanced deep learning and computer vision, which focuses on recent advancement in deep learning. So it will consist of generative algorithms like GANs, which is basically your generative adversarial network, your autoencoders in terms of variational autoencoders and all, which works as a generative algorithm. So you'll be able to generate new images, which probably you have never seen also. And then you will be also taught how to utilize some more algorithm, like it could be a Boltzmann machine, which can help you in terms of building a recommendation system, or it could be a reinforcement learning algorithm, which will help you in terms of building some robust trial and error kind of application that we want to. Then once this part is done, eventually you will have a capstone project. Now this capstone project is very comprehensive, and it tests your understanding on all these components that you have covered, right from Python for data science till advanced deep learning or deep learning. So it will be covering data wrangling, data pre-processing, cleaning part, transformation, feature engineering, then the algorithm selection, what kind of algorithm you are building, fine tuning it, and all that aspect will be covered in capstone. So that is a very comprehensive project which will test you on the entire program. Now, in addition to that, you have some electives also. One of them is use case of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, if you see over the in last few months, have raised to a different level altogether. So so here we talk about use cases of ChatGPT, simple prompts, how you do it. So basically, a overview of prompt engineering, how ChatGPT will take a prompt and it will give you the right outcome that you are looking. So in general, conversational AI and chat GPT is what we talk about there, which is a very interesting elective actually these and in current time and day. Then you also have NLP and speech recognition, where you get to learn how to work with the text data. How do you do a speech recognition, which is again very interesting part. Then you have a little more comprehensive program on reinforcement learning, where it will be introduced to you in advanced deep learning, but reinforcement learning in particular talks about different kind of frameworks which you can use within a reinforcement learning part. And then you are also introduced to Git and GitHub training, which is a very important concept in terms of when you are collaborating on a project with different people. So GitHub is pretty useful. So that is also is as a part of elective. Then you have master classes from Purdue team, where you will have someone coming and sharing their own knowledge and giving you certain do's and don'ts, which is very useful. And eventually you also have industry master class, which I mentioned earlier also, where some industry expert come, and each one have been involved in a different industry, different kind of problem. So that becomes very useful if you listen to them. It gives you a lot of idea that in a real time scenario, what kind of challenges challenges comes up, and then how do they solve. So that's pretty useful. That's the entire program that we have here.
Thank you. And I want to point out about the electives that they're included in the cost of the program. So you have the option as a learner to take any or all of them as you see fit. based on your interest and your time availability. So that's a good way to add and more flavor and depth to the program by customizing it through the electives. So people in the program learn, when we say you learn these tools and platforms, that means they're actually using them in projects and case studies. How does that kind of play out in the program?
That is correct. Actually, what happens is, if you look at the entire project life cycle of a machine learning algorithm, at different level, different requirements are there. So I might need some data visualization to be done so that I understand the data in a better manner before I move to the data analysis part. So matplotlib come into the picture, which will help in terms of visualizing the data. Or probably I have already finished working on a particular project and I want to deploy it. So then Python itself has a framework called Flask, which will help you in terms of deploying the algorithm. So these tools which are mentioned over here will come very handy at different stages of machine learning project lifecycle that you talk about. So I might use Django, I might use Keras, I might use TensorFlow, Skill for machine learning. That's how it goes. So these are the ones which will be taught to you. Some of them will be taught to you. Some of them will be given overview. That's how it goes, so that you understand each one of them entirely, and then we will be using in some of the problem as well.
Yeah, so you get actual hands-on experience with them as you use them on the labs and projects. So that's
That's correct.
extremely helpful, and you'll have examples then to be able to show of how you use these. And then, as we mentioned several times, the capstone project, which kind of culminates the program, the learner can choose from several different industry domains. The problem, the industry-aligned problem that suits them best or interests them most. Is that how that works?
They have multiple options, and from there they can choose, and it covers different domains actually, and it might have a manufacturing, probably from image detection. It might be coming from a e-commerce where they want to build they want to build a recommendation engine. So there are different domains that are covered over there. And you're talking about capstone, and not to forget, they will also have lesson end projects, which will be part of every section that they are covering. So right from Python for data science, and then move to the advanced deep learning. Each section will have their own project as well, which will be coming from different industries. So it gives you a very comprehensive knowledge on different types of problem which exist and how to solve them.
Okay, thank you. And again, once you finish the capstone project and that's evaluated for credit, that is how you finally earn your certificate for the program. And there's a number of examples of the kinds of industry aligned problems that you might work on either in the capstone or along the way in the project, course end projects. So you, for example, customer service requests, um, might simulate handling complaints through the 311 call service from New York City. Might look at different book rental recommendations, so a recommendation system. Might look at feature engineering, meaning what are the things that are most important in this particular case in a real estate transaction to home buyers, kind of assigning value to each of those different home features, facial recognition, healthcare. And one of the most important aspects of ML and AI today is using healthcare for diagnostics and recognizing patterns that doctors might find difficult to see or radiologists might find difficult to see. So here's an example of looking at data about um, heart health and predicting who's going to have a heart attack, or looking at how to detect lung infection from the pattern of symptoms and images. So these are examples of kind of real world type problems that you'd work on in the program. And so the Simply Learn delivery aspect takes us through kind of an ecosystem of support for you as the learner. We assign a program manager to work with Purdue and make sure that we're delivering the program, their standards, and getting their master classes set up. We also assign a cohort manager, so when you enroll, you're going to go through this program step by step with the other people who enroll on the same date. Basically, people are going to be on a similar pace, right, Amit?
Yeah, they would be on a similar page. We make sure that everyone comes from the same level of understanding, and then we take them forward.
And of course, your instructors in each course are going to be helping you succeed in that course, but you'll also be able to draw on support from your fellow students, classroom interactions, but also your community bulletin board system that allows you to interact with people outside of classes. And finally, the curriculum and the other resources, the ebooks, pre-recorded videos, study materials, all of that type of thing are available to help you succeed as well. So this is said, it's an ecosystem of support designed to help you maximize your chance of success. So Amit, if you would like to take us through, if you have available the learning management system, can you show us how this works?
Sure.
So I will stop sharing my screen, and you should be able to share yours.
Okay, so once you enroll for the program, you will be given access to our LMS. Once you log into your LMS, you get the postgraduate program in AI and ML, which is listed over here, and then you can click on the program. And this is the best part about this LMS is that first of all, it tells you what's your basically how you're doing actually at the moment. So if you look at me, 2% of learning has been completed for me is what it's saying. So it keeps track of how the sessions are going for you. And it also tells you that when you'll be able to unlock your certificate. So it keeps track of your learning entirely. And then all the programs that we have mentioned just a little while ago is given over here. So first is your induction, which is given over here. And then all other programs as well, if you see all the sections which we have covered, which I have spoken about, is given over here. Python for data science with Python, machine learning, deep learning, advanced deep learning, and then your electives that I was talking about. So what it does now, suppose I have finished, or if I'm studying any of the program, like if I go to machine learning, I click on this. And what it does, it gives you everything that you need under a single section over here. So first of all, here you get a self-learning videos, which will be helpful for you to get some understanding prior to the class. So these self-learning videos are available for you on each of the topic, even though that topic will be covered in the classroom. It gives you some understanding on it so that you come little prepared, which is very useful actually. So you can click on this and you can go and check what is inside it. You can understand through a video that what this topic is all about, or any other topic for that matter. So it gives you an overview of all those topics. Those are self-learning videos. Some of the sessions you will have certain self-learning videos which will be mandatory as well. It might be. So that's it. That's what you get. Then you have an option of live class. You click on that. Your classes will be available here itself. So whenever it is due, you can come to your my classes, click on your classes, and then you can join from here itself. The other good thing is once the class is over and the recordings are available, the recordings can be accessed from my classes option itself. So your recordings will also be listed over here. You can click and you can watch them whenever you want. So in case if you missed out something, or probably you want to just go back and rewatch it so that you can get the thorough understanding of it, you can do that here itself. Then it also has the reference materials which will be used in the classroom. The reference materials that will be used in the classroom, it could be a trainer PPT, it could be some code books. So all that you can download it from here. And also the data sets which will be used in the classroom. So you don't have to actually go to any other place to get your code book or the PPTs or even data sets. Everything is there under one single screen. So just download, keep it handy. Whenever the session is going on, you will be using it. It also gives you a lab guide so that you get well equipped with the understanding of the lab also. Then you have here practice lab option. So the practice lab and that's what Stuart was mentioning, that in case we want to do the experimentation with any kind of algorithm, we want to run and we want to see how it's working out. So the lab is also built in here. You go to your lab and it looks like this. You will have your code book over here, which is generally shared in advance. And you get to simply log into your LMS, go to the practice lab and start coding. You don't have to install anything on your system. This lab is it comes with the pre-installed libraries, so you don't have to worry about that one of the library is not installed on your system or probably not compatible with your system. Everything is there. Just start using it. Now, how it works in the live virtual class, just to give a little perspective here, like if I'm teaching here time series modeling, so we'll start. I'll give you the understanding that how it works. So here itself, I'll explain you entirely. So this is just the agenda, which is we are setting it up. And then what we do is I'll go down and I'll tell you what is time series. I'll explain you all the parts and then we'll take up a data set. Now, when I'm saying stock price data set, where do I get it? It's there in our data set folder, which I told you that you can download and keep it. So the data is there. And then straight away we start implementing the concept. Okay, and explain you how while implementing that concept, some more aspects of the algorithm will be covered, which will be explained to you that why we are doing something and what kind of inference you can draw from that. Like if I did some charting, what are the insights from the chart? Why are we using a particular box plot? And then eventually we'll implement everything and we'll show you the result and we'll tell you what this result is all about and how do you then save it, and if you have to reuse it, then how will you do it? So this entire part will be covered in the session itself. So and if any kind of changes are being done in the code, suppose something you asked about that, can we do something like this or something like that? So if I'm writing some extra lines over here, like suppose like this, I can, after the session, I can share this file on the community. So that's another feature of our LMS. What happens over there is we also have a community over here. See this? So on the LMS, you have community option here. Now this community is a place where you can interact with your peers, and you can also interact with the trainer. Like suppose you are having session on the weekends, and during the weekdays when you are going through certain concept, you need some help, you can connect to the community. You can post your questions, your doubts, and we will be there to clarify it. So that's what community does. You also have option of creating your notes for every session that you are doing, and you can simply download them. Then if suppose somewhere in between you get stuck with some problem in the LMS, probably it doesn't happen generally, but I'm just saying, or you need some technical help, there is a help option also available, which is available 24/7. You can click on that, you can raise a ticket, and then we will help you out in terms of sorting out your issues. So that's your lab that we are talking about. In addition to that lab, you also have your assessment tab here, which is there for every section. So it's not a capstone, but this is basically for a particular section that you have completed a course. Then you have a project over here. And if you see, this is what we were talking about, that these projects come from different industry. So this is a Mercedes-Benz manufacturing project. Similarly, building a recommendation engine, or it could be income qualification you need to understand from for World Bank. So they come from different industries. So it gives you a lot of understanding that what kind of problem we are solving when it comes to different industries, different sectors, different domains. That's where it's very helpful. So you solve one of them. That's a requirement for you to complete, and then only the certificate be unlocked. But generally, what we suggest is that once you solve and submit, but others also you can just see what's happening inside it. Then once you finish this, submit your project, and once you clear it, your certificate will be unlocked. So that's what your LMS is all about. Quite comprehensive. Everything is under one platform. You don't have to jump from one place to another, and it's fully integrated with the lab also. That's how it works.
Thank you. I think that's a pretty in-depth overview of how the LMS works, and that should give people confidence that this is a platform that they can use in a fairly straightforward way to manage all of their classes, manage all of their projects, do all of the work, and get real examples. And then, as you're doing the examples, as you're doing the projects, those are being logged into your Git portfolio. So you'll end up with a kind of set of examples of experience, right?
That's correct.
Okay, super. So I'm going to go ahead and return to our presentation a little bit. And as it comes up, there we go. So the professor at Purdue who oversees this program is Venkata Nicola, and he coordinates with us, makes sure that we are delivering to their standards, and also coordinates providing the Purdue faculty to come and do the master classes. And so this is your assurance that what you're learning in this program is backed by the reputation and the full faith and credit, so to speak, of Purdue University. And you can see here a number of different instructors from different backgrounds. Rocky, Nikhil, Nitin, Simon, of course, Indra, Amatin. And you can see that each of them has extensive industry background, so that you're learning not just from academic, theoretical background people, but you're also learning from people who have done this kind of work in the real world for real industry clients and or employers. And this gives you background for learning how this set of skills will be applied in a practical sense in the real world. So these are your colleagues in the program. Can you add anything to that?
Yeah, they're my colleague in terms of handling these programs, and each one of them, if you see, vast amount of experience, and they all are pretty well equipped with the right knowledge, and they teach you with the hands-on delivery. That's how it goes. That's just to add.
Yep, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about learner outcomes, and this is one of the interesting aspects of the program. Is that it's a postgraduate program. We encourage people to join while they are working professionals. It's designed to support working professionals. That means you're going to be learning alongside people who are working in various companies, who are examples of people that have taken this kind of taken this program in the past. So people come into the program working for a number of different industries, not just information technology or software, but also manufacturing, healthcare, pharma, banking and financial services, really around um, all of the different potential industry segments. How does that play out in the classroom? There are a lot of, kind of,
Actually, honestly telling you, that is pretty beneficial to the participants in a manner that when we teach a particular concept, somebody comes from manufacturing, they correlate with their job role that, I can use this concept in solving this particular problem, and they share. So someone coming from manufacturing, they give an example, this is what I can use. And then somebody coming from banking, they started explaining that how this particular concept will be useful for them. So what happens is the kind of knowledge gets shared is enormous. And that way we learn from each one of them. Other than that, the program is such, just to tell you, that they might come from a different background, but the program is such that we align them towards us to the same objective, and make sure that we are aligned to that throughout the course. But as I mentioned, it is pretty useful when people come from different background in terms of domain expertise, experience. They share their own understanding, their knowledge. They ask questions which is related to their job workload, the work that they are doing. And when we start discussing all this gives you a lot of understanding that, okay, the same concept I can use in banking also, probably in HR also, probably in telecommunication as well, which is pretty interesting.
yeah. So that's a great way to kind of network and also build out your kind of well-rounded background as a professional in the industry of learning from other people who are working there. And here are some people who have completed the program and they've done very well. They all have really good things to say about the program and the way that it gives you hands-on experience, teaches you about programming methods, the mathematics, and deep learning. So we hope that we can add you to this kind of roster. You'll see a number more of additional um, testimonials from learners on our webpage, and I'll share that link in minutes. So we had a question about job placement, and Simplilearn offers career assist service is not a job placement service, but this is for learners India and the United States, and it gives you access to job board. This is something that extends for 6 months after you complete your certificate. So once you're awarded your certificate, you have 6 months to use these services. Again, the exclusive job portal, or in India or in the US. Um, the resume review and rewrite service, which allows you to work with a writer and do a couple of new drafts of your resume to adapt it to the world of automated tracking systems and AI bots and still make it look good to people who will see it when it lands on their desk. And then the one-on-one interview prep service, which gives you the opportunity to do live one-on-one interview simulations for the things that you might have to deal with in phone screen interviews or technical skills interviews or corporate fit, cultural fit interviews. And so all of these services are available to you for those 6 months to help you with your job search. Again, we don't have a job placement or job guarantee program here, but these are services that will help sharpen your job search and maximize your chance of success there. So based on what we've shared with you, Meet and I, so far, are you interested in joining this program? I'll leave this open for about 15 seconds. I will close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And about 3/4 of our audience are interested in joining the program, which is great. I will share with you how to do that. So first, we want to cover the cost of the program, and we're showing this in US and India denominations. If you're elsewhere in the world, the course is of course available to you, and you'll want to look at our webpage or contact ask us at simplylearn.net and ask about the cost and how it's denominated in your country. In the US, it's $4,500, which can be financed at $397 a month. In India, it's 1,49,999, which can be financed EMI basis for 5,105 rupee a month. And if you have an employer who offers the benefit of tuition reimbursement, you should ask them about that and see if you can get them to help defray the cost of the program. It's always a benefit worth exploring, and that would be the policy of your current employer. So you can contact us again at askus@simplylearn.net to find out about costs in other locations. And the enrollment steps are starting by emailing us at askus@simplylearn.net. The next session starts with classes on July 31st, so you can actually take the induction session tomorrow, July 13th, although there will be another induction session after that before July 31st. But this is the next available cohort. If you join, I can tell you two things. One is that we will offer you a bonus discount. You want to ask us at simplylearn.net what that discount is, and they will share that with you. That's available if you join this July cohort. And we urge you to hurry because we limit the number of seats in any given cohort so that the instructors have time to work with each student. So there's not an unlimited number of places in the cohort. We try to limit it to about 30 so that instructors have time to deal with a reasonable class size. If you're interested, it makes sense for you to contact us right away. They'll ask you about your background or aptitude for math and programming, and if you qualify, they'll send you an admission letter. And that, if you're interested in joining, how soon would you want to join? Are you looking at the July cohort, or are you looking August, September, or maybe further down the road? So I'll leave this one open for about 20 seconds total. I'll close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So about 40%, a little more than 40% of people want to join either in July or August, September. Those of you looking further down the road, please contact us at askus@simplylearn.net, and we'll keep you in touch with regard to future cohorts, answer any questions you have. For those of you who are interested in joining right away, please contact us at askus@simplylearn.net, and we'll get you started. And now we'll take the questions and answers. I'm going to stop the sharing here. And we have lots of questions. So the first couple have to do with the cost. We've done that. You will get a link to the recording. Talked about the mathematics background. We have a question from Carney who says, I'm an electronic engineer, so how can AI and ML be helpful for me?
So electronic engineers, basically a lot of embedded systems which are getting built these days. How we are actually adding the AI component to it, and if you talk about smart devices, you talk about automations that are getting done. A lot of scope is there to create intelligence around that, and then build applications, build build tools which will be utilizing that. So basically, I'm just trying to tell you that electronics is not something that you are thinking that it will not be useful later on. A lot of tools and applications are getting built around embedded system which utilizes AI.
Yeah, and my original training was in electrical engineering and circuit design, and back then you would have to do a lot of manual calculation to determine, whether you had sufficient current flow throughout a circuit or where the leakages would be. Today you have AI ML tools that uh, can help you lay out an entire, massive scale integrated circuit system. So um, the more, the AI and ML is applicable both for applications, for design, for every aspect of electronic
Now you can
engineering.
automate the process of circuit design, layout optimization is there,
Yeah,
performance analysis, or probably in the signal processing, it could enhance the audio signals, or probably image processing, speech recognition. All this is kind of, there's an overlap when you talk about all these aspects.
yep, absolutely. We had a question from Himanshi about how to become a professional coder. That would be a different program that's available. And you can ask us at simplylearn.net about those kinds of programs. The focus of this program is to become an AIML practitioner. Vamsi asked if you could kind of give a thumbnail difference between the data analyst and data engineer roles.
Sure. So, in a very simple fashion, if I have to tell you, data analyst focuses on analyzing the data and come up with some actionable insights. Data engineers will be working a little more on the infrastructure side in terms of building the data pipelines, making sure that data is integrated with different analytical layers which are there. So that's what the main difference would be.
Mm-hmm. uh, Ted Alex, okay, he has a question about how to remove bias from algorithms, and also you could comment on how much data you need to build a robust machine learning model. How do you remove bias?
Bias
Yeah.
Biases, what we do is once we build any model as part of your ML ops would be one part would be where you will be understanding what kind of biases exist in the models. You'll be going at the different level of data and try and understand what are the issues, and then for every bias or every issue that you find out, then you try to understand how we can solve it. Sometimes what happens is, like, I'm doing classification and my model is biased towards one of the class, so then we add more data to another classes and it works well. So different scenario will have a different way of handling it, but that's how generally it works. So biases will be taken care by that. What was the second part of the question?
Second part of the question is the way they phrased it: how much of business do you need to gather in terms of banking, insurance, processing from shop to shop? My interpretation, forgive me if I'm wrong, is how do you build up data models that can apply across different business entities? So if you're looking at building a banking application, how do you make sure that it's not just applicable to your bank?
um See, that becomes very difficult in certain areas to build generic product because of the kind of data you are capturing.
Mhm.
One bank might have a different way of capturing data points to another. So it becomes a little difficult, but there are certain areas where all the banks will be, or any financial institution will be capturing exactly same field, same data because of the regulatory requirement. So on those sorts of scenarios, you can build some generic generic application, and that's how these credit rating and all they work. Also, they have a generic model which works on any of the bank, so it depends on the scenario.
Mhm. Thank you. We got a question about calculating macros in Excel. That would again be a different course on for data analysts rather than for AIML. But again, you can ask us about that. What days are the live classes and times? So those are on the weekends. What time of day are usually the weekend classes? Cheryl would like to know.
Generally it would be on weekends, and weekends 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday. That's how it goes.
Uh-huh. What time on the of time of day is
Time we have, I think we have two batches. One runs in the evening, one runs in the morning.
right? And that's because this is a worldwide program, so it has to be
Yeah.
something that people from different time zones can access. Loved one. So he's covered a number of concepts through self-study and experience of clustering, data mining, decision trees, neural networks, Tableau visualization. Uh, has not received a certificate in these. How would he be able to show this off to employers and demonstrate that he has these skills? What would you suggest for somebody to create something to show to employers?
Um, See, eventually you'll have to showcase in terms of what you have done in the past, what kind of project you have worked upon, and also generally what happens if you're able to express your knowledge in a right manner in the interviews. Sometimes I'm just saying that they focus more on your understanding rather than what you have done in the past. So that's how it goes. So if you're able to do both the aspects, like you have done some work and also you're able to you're pretty good in terms of explaining things, there shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. One of the things that we try to address in the design of these programs with Purdue and our other programs is that you want to build that portfolio of examples. So, um, if you had taken this program, or if you wanted to take this or a similar program with us, you would build that portfolio. But if you've already done this type of work and you want to, work on projects and build a portfolio, or if, as Emmy said, if you have a good talking game, then that should help you. Is there an exception to the BA requirement? You really have to ask us at Simplilearn.net about your particular situation. If you're about to receive your bachelor's, if you're in your last year of your bachelor's program, and it will be awarded to you before you finish this program, that's that's acceptable. They don't really make too many other exceptions because they do want to make sure that you have a certain baseline of the students who are joining the program. Um, is there a limit to the number of electives one can take? No, you can take as many as fit into your schedule and as interest you. So you don't have to take a minimum number of electives, and there is no maximum. Um, talked about placement guarantee. So again, not a placement guarantee from this program, just the placement of the job assist for helping you with your job search. So we have a question from Alanka, who has taken other Simplilearn courses that have covered some of the similar topics. Would they be able to test out of some of these courses and then just focus on the additional topics? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure Emmy does, but I would refer you to ask us at simplylearn.net to ask about that particular situation. And they'll be the best ones to handle that for you. How important Warwick asks, how important is it to know SQL and database administration uh, within the context of data science and AI/ML?
It would be a pretty useful added advantage, I would say, because sometimes what happens when we are working on a particular problem, I'll tell you, it happens a lot with my firm. We go to the client and we say, okay, this is the kind of problem we can solve for you, and they say, okay, this is the data we have, and they expose their DBs that they are having, and then we need to connect to their database and then pull data and then start working on it. So generally, we use Python for the same, but we might have to fire some SQL queries from Python itself to pull the data or probably do some work in the databases. It will always be helpful if you know those basic routines, how to write them, and that will be sufficient.
Yep. And if you go deeper into that direction of the topic, that's going into data engineering, and where you might, if people who find that kind of thing fascinating can specialize in that and work on the infrastructure and the pipelines for the data to things. So that's another career path that's within the general overview. Are there good public groups to join who are developing interests in AI ML, doing things like open source projects, things like that? Can you recommend any of those?
I think Kaggle is pretty good for that.
Okay.
Kaggle is pretty nice.
Okay. Um, we had a question about what operating system and laptop requirements are required. Basically, this is all done through your web browser. So if your web browser runs quickly and your internet connection is good, and you have high bandwidth, you won't have a problem. You don't have to have a particular Windows operating system. You can do it on a Mac. So all of that is available to you. Is that accurate? Right?
That's correct. And there's no requirement as such that you have to have GPUs and all.
Okay. And that's one of the great things about this program is that the computing infrastructure for you is provided on a virtual basis, so that you go into that Jupyter lab, you can do the work and not have to invest in building an advanced hardware platform of your own. Let's see. We have someone, Sephora, who says that they have bachelor's in accounting, and how would AI and ML be useful in that field?
Uh, AI accounting, when you talk about, basically you're talking about financial transactions. Anyway, so starting with the basic automation that you can do. You can any kind of time consuming repetitive accounting task are there. It could be as simple as data entry, it could be invoice processing that you do, or reconciliations. Those could be automated easily with the some certain algorithms. You can do data analysis, large volume of financial data. You can quickly and accurately analyze and understand them. You can do fraud detection if you want, based on the accounting data. You can you can make some predictions based on the historical data, assisting in financial forecasting, budgeting, cash flow management, or it could be audit and compliance that you're talking about. So a lot of things you can do. You can use NLP to understand what's been told, what has been given in a particular email, letter, whatever you have received, analyze that and understand a client in a better manner. So all that you can do.
Yeah. And if you're looking to move beyond accounting into other aspects of financial services, for example, AI and ML is the basis for things like fintech, where uh, the new apps that provide microcredit or instant credit decisions are all based on AI and ML algorithms. And the last question we have in the Q&A before I go back to the chat is, what type of machine learning or deep learning algorithms are most used in industry these days? Is there
Uh,
a real answer to that, or is it kind
no,
of everything?
I wouldn't be able to answer that, in a sense that uh, I might, as a e-commerce website, I might use probably a Boltzmann machine to build recommendation system. Another company might use a simple item based approach, and both will work properly because they have different kind of data. So there's no right answer to it.
Okay. All right. And I think that covers pretty much all the questions we have, because that's all the time we have for questions. So I am going to close out our presentation today. Just want to thank you, Amit, for being with us, being generous with your time and your attention. I'm going to ask one last question. For those of you in the audience who are interested in enrolling, would you like us to contact you directly? Just going to leave this open for about 5 seconds. We'll close the poll. Just under half of you said yes, so you can expect a call from our folks, our learning consultants. And as I promised, I'm going to put into the chat window the link to our program page, so you can either email us at the email address that we've talked about, that's in the chat, or else you can go to the program page. You'll be able to contact us through that as well. And with that, I'm going to close out the program. And again, thank you, Amit, for your time and for your attention. And
Thanks,
really
Stuart.
appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
And want to thank everyone who made time, wherever you are in the world, whether it's evening or morning, for taking your time to invest in this webinar and learning about how you can make a future in AI and ML for yourself. You can use the QR code to get to our webpage or the link in the chat. And we look forward to welcoming you into the Purdue Simplilearn learning community. So with that, that concludes our webinar for today. Thank you so much.